Kahani Bar brings you a cocktail of stories in English and in Hindustani. I am Richa, and today's story is from Fauji Heart, a collection of human stories with the backdrop of Indian Army. These stories will sometimes bring a smile and sometimes a tear, but they will always allow you to peek into the lives of the human beings who are often hidden behind that stiff uniform.
And today we bring you the story SOP number 303. This short story has been penned by Naren. It is common practice in the army to lay down standard operating procedure. In short, SOP, for various activities envisaged in the running of a unit. These SOPs cover a wide range of activities, from tactical deployment of an infantry platoon in a contingency position in deserts to the administrative details for a ladies' cookery competition to reception of VIPs in snowbound areas. SOPs have been written on almost every conceivable activity likely to be undertaken. The central idea behind writing these SOPs is to ensure prompt action and help the people concerned save time and effort. They can act right away on the points given in the checklist and follow the drills laid down. Every CO endeavors to perfect an SOP so that no loopholes are left. SOP number 303 with 302 SOPs preceding it was one such perfect SOP, with all likely loopholes tightly plugged. Yet, amazingly, it backfired. I wonder if this had something to do with the weird science of numerology? SOP number 303 dealt at length with the arrangements required to be made for the reception and other details pertaining to the ladies accompanying VIPs visiting the unit in a hard peace area. That is, a station with all the discomforts of a peace field area. As compared with the voluminous work on other topics, it was but a modest 41-page treatise on the subject, with an attached checklist running into 19 pages, giving the minutest details of action at various stages for the guidance of the LO, which is the liaison officer. One bright morning, I was summoned to the CO's office. Handing me a neatly bound SOP, he said, "Son, I want you to chew and digest every word of it till you can vomit it out verbatim. For you've been given the honor and privilege of performing the duties of LO to Mrs. GOC during the General's visit here next month. It is customary to refer to the wife of an officer by prefixing Mrs. to the designation of said officer. You see, the plan of action is that while I take the General around the unit lines, you'll keep company with Her Excellency. You don't have to exercise your brain cells. In any case, I know you suffer from an acute deficiency. Just follow the Bible 303 to the T. For God's sake, don't deviate from it. I have burned up 10 liters of midnight oil over this SOP." "Yes, sir," I said. "I'll do my best." Giving a smart salute, I came out of his office. I had recently picked up my second pimp. For civilians unfamiliar with what that means, I had basically got promoted, much against the wishes of the old man, and so far I had done precious little to impress him. I seized this opportunity to make a grand success of the ensuing visit by giving a spectacular performance in my new assignment. In the following weeks, I read the SOP over and over again till my eyes got blurry and my head swirled. But my perseverance bore fruit. I could now confidently recall what was in paragraph 17 on page 5 regarding earmarking a volunteer to accompany the lady for shopping when she made a request, or paragraph 48 on page 29, which delineated the procedure involved in procuring ready-made garments from the market, skillfully removing their labels and displaying them in the family welfare center with cards, giving details of the ladies involved in their designing, cutting and stitching, and of course the name of the first lady for inspiring and guiding them at all stages, neatly pinned on them. I painfully memorized the sequence of action, minor drills at each stage, and ideal answers to likely questions which the visiting lady could ask, for the old man had warned me never to consult the SOP or any notes thereof in the presence of the VIP. I earnestly set about completing part 1, action on receipt of warning order, and accomplished it in record time. As given in the guiding principles, I had used my discretion to delegate certain responsibilities to 2 1-pippers under my command and obtained completion report as per performer in Appendix C on the D-Day -7. With the assistance of a full-fledged clerk at my disposal, I opened a mini research cell, which only lacked a computer, and set about acquiring and collating all available recorded data, scanning through numerous files which gave me anything of value to establish the behavioral pattern of the visiting dignitary. During the course of my exhaustive interviews with a large number of people who had come in contact with her, right from our mellifluous First Lady to the somewhat inelegant mess waiter, I absorbed their varying perceptions and pieced together useful bits of information. From this painstaking research emerged a strong profile of the distinguished lady that would have made an Irving Wallace or a Leon Uris characterization look pale in comparison. Subsequently, I prepared a brief on her with an exhaustive list of her likes and dislikes. Amongst her whims and fancies, I learned that she liked Mogra perfumed Odonil in the bathroom. Her favorite soap was Moti Khas, and the color of her choice was shocking pink. Accordingly, the guest room was re-distempered and furnished with new lace curtains, linen, towels, and bath mats, all in varying shades of her favorite color. Even the carpet was predominantly pink. Although roses were out of season, pink paper roses were skillfully grafted on the plants around Pink Villa. It was really shocking to see so much pink color around. But then, how could I go against the dictates of the written word? On D-Day, I woke up very early in the morning for a final revision of the SOP, just to recapitulate the crunch points as though I were going to appear in a crucial exam. I was pleased to note that even before I turned a page, I could recite with ease and alacrity what existed on the subsequent page. I quickly went through part 2, action to be completed prior to arrival of the VIP lady, to ensure that all the tasks had been implemented. I finally made a mental note of the salient points to be borne in mind on the arrival of the visiting dignitary as given in part 3. Kasarwadi railway station was dull and devoid of much activity as usual, till a large contingent for receiving the VIPs arrived and shook the railway staff out of their lethargy. Flower pots were placed on either side of a red carpet, rolled down from the likely placement of the coach carrying the general's entourage to the exit. When the train arrived, the buglers sounded fanfare and everyone stood at attention. As luck would have it, the VIP coach stopped much short of the red carpet, but the CO had catered for this contingency in his SOP. The reserve roll was promptly opened out, linking the coach door to the already laid carpet. A beaming general, in full ceremonial order, got out of the coach, shook hands profusely with the CEO, and nodded at the small fry. My eyes were glued to the door, awaiting the emergence of a motherly, portly figure, but I was disappointed. When we were about to depart, the absent-minded general suddenly realized that he had left someone behind. A ray of hope remained, but it was shattered when he said, "Come on, Dolly, aren't you getting down?" Then turning to the CEO, he apologized for not bringing his wife along and added, "My daughter was keen to see Kasarwadi, so I brought her instead." "Just a moment, Dad. I'm packing my vanity case." A sweet voice came from inside the coach. When she stepped out in stately splendor, my eyes literally popped out of their sockets. A petite, jean-clad, teenaged, live-wire figure produced shockwaves on the otherwise calm platform. The dark clouds, which had been thievishly converging over the Kasarwadi railway station, now burst out suddenly in a roaring welcome. This was one eventuality which had skipped the attention of the CEO. Since my checklist did not warn me to carry umbrellas, I had not done so. The soggy and somewhat annoyed VIPs were rushed into the waiting vehicles. On the bumpy ride to the unit, I presented my credentials, rather nervously, to Her Excellency, albeit Her Junior Excellency. Without even blessing me with a glance, she nodded her approval. I was in a dilemma whether I should follow the pre-planned and well-rehearsed tour program for the distinguished lady or ask her as to how she would like to utilize her time. I opted for the former, for the simple reason that the SOP demanded it. First on the list was a cup of tea at the officers' mess. Of course, this cup of tea included a treat of 13 varieties of snacks, ranging from the sauve lady on the horseback, a typical army terminology for a pearl onion, a piece of fresh pineapple, and a cube of cheese mounted on a toothpick, to more earthy fried peanuts encased in basin shells. She did not touch any of them and instead demanded a chilled thumbs up. That put me in a spin, for I had not foreseen such an eventuality. No sane person asks for a cold drink in the chilly months of January. Anyway, after considerable delay and hushed grumbling, we proceeded to the Family Welfare Center. She did not evince much interest in the activities of the center and brushed aside all offers of visiting the Jawan's family quarters, where she was to be shown a model kitchen. A meaty portion of her tour program was thus ruthlessly chopped with a single shake of that lovely head, perched on a fragile neck. Instead, she demanded of the First Lady, "Auntie, I would like to go to the town. Don't you have a disco here?" Mrs. Ashtavakra, who had been tutored to offer her services for escorting the VIPs for shopping, lifting her bulk from the double sofa, said, "It'll be my pleasure." "No thanks," came the firm rebuttal. "Goofy, you come along." She held me by my hand and dragged me out. Before I could inform her that we weren't fortunate enough to have a discotheque in Kasarwadi, we were in the staff car. "Driver, town chalo," ordered Chota Memsa. The driver started the car immediately and zipped off. Very diplomatically, I told her that Kasarwadi Boomtang did not open before 7 o'clock in the evening, and that if she dug the disco scene so much, we could go back to my basha, the temporary hut meant, and enjoy the luxury of a makeshift disco, courtesy the music provided by my inimitable cassette player. She jumped at the offer and instructed the driver to make a U-turn. I had not expected the distinguished lady to visit my quarters, so I had not removed the saucy pin-ups which adorned the faded tent walls of my humble abode. She was not at all perplexed. I was ordered to play some fast music and get her a shandy. I had barely fulfilled her orders when she dragged me onto the dance floor and put me through a vigorous twist and shake. In SOP number 303, there was no chapter devoted to treating a lady VIP to music, dance, and shandy in a subaltern's tent. But at the same time, there was no specific bar to it either. I said to myself, what the heck? We are in uncharted territory here. After all, I'm looking after the pleasure of the distinguished lady. I was confident the CEO would only be too pleased to learn of my impromptu decision-making skills. Suddenly, I heard someone barking at the door. Stop this nonsense at once! It was the general in all his fury. I froze in the typical John Travolta pose, with my right arm raised and head inclined at an uncomfortable angle towards the raised arm. Besides, I also seemed to have developed a stiff jaw, for I couldn't utter a single word. Come on, Dolly, let's go. Colonel, I'd like you to sort out this youngster nice and proper, said the general through clenched teeth and walked out, dragging Dolly with him. I wonder whether it was out of sheer obedience to her father or apathy towards a moron like me that she mercilessly ignored the pitiful expression on my scarlet face and did not utter a single word in defense of the dutiful attention I had paid to her every whim since her arrival. After all, I had only been trying to follow the dictates of SOP number 303 in true spirit to the best of my ability. Well, whatever it was, I was doomed for the rest of my career. Nothing could erase the black spot in my dossier for following the instructions much too blindly. Damn it! Drills can't replace the genius of the human mind. You must interpret the instructions correctly and intelligently. You ought to hang yourself for the irreparable damage you've done to the regiment, roared the CEO, thus coolly passing the entire blame for the debacle onto me. This was a classic example of defense mechanism at work, for his shifting eyes did reveal a hint of guilty conscience in them. Was he not the one who had boasted that his SOP had factored in every eventuality? Overnight, SOP number 303 was consigned to the incinerator, and the CEO himself supervised the august operation of ensuring its complete annihilation. I hear that the old man, benefiting from the lessons learnt in the episode, is toying with the idea of writing a fresh SOP on the subject. This time, he intends to make it really foolproof. For a change, he has also invited views from others. Any suggestions?
This is Richa signing off. Take good care of yourselves till I'm back with the next story.